Hey there, this is Mike Johnston with Street Punk Productions, and with me on the show today is Byron White, who is the president of WriterAccess. And WriterAccess is a company that connects website owners with professional writers. The writers will produce content for your website on a per article basis or in an ongoing fashion. Content has always been the whole purpose of the internet. If you think about it, it really has. It's always been the focus, but people tend to lose that focus in the struggle to make their own content appear in search results. Um, but even that being said, even if you have great content, what is really the value of it if nobody finds it? So there's two sides to that coin, obviously. The importance of great content has come into the spotlight again since the recent updates to the Google search algorithm. Since I became an advisor to the Google small business community on Google+, I've been more aware of the challenge that creating quality content on a regular basis presents to many businesses. Quality takes time, and many small business owners simply can't find enough of that. Additionally, I find that many small business owners have some stage fright when it comes to creating content, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's pretty normal. And so I thought it'd be great if there was a source of original content, and originality is very important, that was top quality and that small business could afford. So I did some searching around, and I found WriterAccess. And after digging into the site a little bit and talking to the people involved and what they do, I think they represent what I would have created if I was to do it myself, because it basically embodies the things that I thought were important. So Byron White is the president of WriterAccess, and he's very kindly agreed to join me today for this HOA and talk about the various aspects of having an effective content strategy and how WriterAccess can fit in. So Byron, how long you been in the content business?
Forever, I guess would be since grade school. How about that? So, no, for quite a while. Appreciate the intro, and it's really fun to be here, Michael, as well. I appreciate the invitation for this, and it's nice to talk about content and with anybody and everybody that wants to tune in. So, thanks again.
I saw you went to the London School of Economics. It says that on your profile. How does economics fit in with this?
Good question. I think that the quest to start a business had always been part of my interest level and my desire to go to LSE to learn how the business world works and how to play up academics as much as I could to eventually start a business was really why I went to LSE.
Alrighty. And what got you into the content business?
Sure. So back in 1992, I started my first company called Freelance Access, which was a graphic arts placement agency. And I was super excited to start something fresh and different. I brought a few new things to the table. At the time, back in 1992, graphic arts professionals were represented by basically resumes, which made no sense to me. They were them being visually oriented people. So I bought a $40,000 dye sublimation printer, which, by the way, pretty much caused a divorce later in my illustrious career path, on a credit card, and bought this dye sub printer, started a Mac lab, and invited graphic arts professionals to come into our office and scan in printed samples of their work, which we then turned into what we called portfolio access systems. So I hired some sales reps, and they went out, and rather than taking resumes out on the road, they went out and took these beautiful, images that had been created of brochures and logos and identity campaigns that they had created. And it created quite a stir in the marketplace at the time. And so my debut into this marketplace was really representing not only graphic designers, but copywriters and illustrators, web designers, which was really multimedia designers back in those days. So I had a real fascination for representing freelancers, and I ended up selling that company to Aquent. Went on to become their director of worldwide sales for a couple of years. Had a great experience with Aquent. But then after that, I had the bug again to start a company, so I started this holding company, this sort of parent company called Ideal Launch. And you can see that WriterAccess is kind of the first of a few different launches that we're in the process of rolling out in this year. And WriterAccess has been around for 3 years. So content is something, and the representation of freelancers has been something that I've been, that's really been the focus of my entrepreneurial ventures so far.
Well, speaking of content, actually, a lot of times you say content and people just think, oh, it's a blog post. But, content also includes images and video. Do you guys do anything in that realm?
So if you check out Idea Launch, you'll see that Designer Access is going to roll out in 2014, and we have a few other tricks up our sleeve with some other resources that our customers are going to be able to access. No pun intended, of course. But yes, content assets. What's so interesting about content marketing in general, to your point, is that it's not just one asset type. The challenge is your customers and your readers and your fans are orbiting at high speeds, and how do you catch them? And you have to publish in multiple channels and with different asset types to really be successful.
Well, I mean, when I was looking at Writer Access, I did look at a lot of different things, but in your opinion, what's the difference between Writer Access and sites like Fiverr or Elance or those kind of sites?
So we like to think that there's a lot different, and I think the biggest thing is that Writer Access is sort of built for both quality and scale. And on the quality end, we have very intricate workflows that are well beyond what, say, an Elance could imagine doing, because we're so laser focused and hyper focused with writers at Writer Access. Things like Copyscape originality verification and API integration with WordPress and Facebook and Twitter, and being able to push and pull content and have it rewritten and push it back out, or just have it written in Writer Access and push it right out to your WordPress blog and have it published on a specific time. Those are just a few of the intricacies with the technology that we've engineered that is designed to amaze. Really, I mean that's the big difference. But the other thing that I think is critical to understand about these online marketplaces, which is kind of interesting to think through, is imagine that every order that goes through is being analyzed, and data is an intellectual property, if you will, is being generated. We can tell if if a writer delivered it on time, or whether or not how the customer rated it in terms of did it meet, exceed, or was it below their expectations. Tons of data are processed, and that allows us to really weed out the great, amazing writers that frankly should be paid more and algorithmically raise their star rating up as high as 6-star level, or writers that continue to have hurdles with their quality and do not get the ratings and the endorsements and the other things that, once again, we're algorithmically keeping track of. So I think that it's tough to be an Elance and represent the talent across the board. Instead, I think the niches are really going to win the war at the end of the day.
Well, there's two different levels to the next question I want to look at. But on the first side, let's imagine that I am well, and it's kind of evolving now to where somebody isn't just a digital ad agency anymore. I mean, okay, we do PPC, we do display, we do video, but we also manage your content. We also manage your website. There's so many things involved now. So if I'm an agency, how can Writer Access help me make my clients' websites better and their content strategy? Is that something I can work into it?
Yeah. So we've studied the needs of that audience, namely digital marketing professionals and/or agencies or SEO firms or whatever it is, very deeply. Why? They're actually our biggest customers, and what we've learned over time is that they have a lot of specific needs in not only workflow management, but quality control and scalability, and amazingly performance measurement, which we've been able to tackle for them as well. So let me explain a few of those things. So when we say built for quality and scale, that's exactly what we're trying to bestow upon people. So agencies need multi-user setup. They might have multiple people in their agency that they each needs to have an individual account with their own individual pool of writers they're working with. They need accounting support, for example, so you can keep track of billing and have one master parent account. They have performance measurement goals. They may be creating content for multiple domain names, and wouldn't it be great if they could see how those domain names are performing? They need separate keyword silo buckets for each of the domain names so they can quickly access the keywords. Basically, what we've tried to do is to create this sort of all-in-one content marketing platform that's scalable for agencies, and I think that's why they're really wowed by us. They haven't really seen this, and one of the reasons we were able to sort of create all this stuff is we used to be a full-service content marketing agency ourselves for about 4 years, servicing about 100 customers per year. So we understand their pain points, we understand how quality is paramount to their success, and that's really what we've tried to accomplish with WriterAccess.
And the other side of that question then is, what if I am a small business and I just have a little website with a blog and not a whole lot of cash to spend, but I want to have a content strategy? Is that something that is achievable through WriterAccess?
The definition of content strategy is quite interesting, and we could probably talk about that, Michael, for 2 to 7 hours. But we got out of the agency business for a couple of reasons. Creating that strategy for customers is to really do it the right way. If you're talking about Fortune 500 customers with multiple competitors, is extremely difficult to do. Customers at that level want to know, how much content do I need? How frequently do I need to publish it? How good does it need to be? And most importantly, what return on the investment am I going to get for my dollars? That's content strategy, right? That's deep level content strategy, and that takes sometimes hundreds of hours to figure out when you're talking about a company like, say, Salesforce.com, right?
Right.
But when you're a small business, actually, I would argue content strategy is really simple. Okay, it's how can I produce quality content that resonates well and connects well with my customers and keeps them coming back for more? And the answer to that is just plain great content, created by professionals that understand your industry and can suggest topic ideas to you and to get you started in the right way, which is, and by the way, there's amazing technology we have in the platform. We have this cool topic finder where you type in a keyword and it pops up results of like how, when, where, who, sort of search, really cool questions that people are typing into Google that they want to know, right? And if you think about content marketing, that's exactly what's happening. It's, forward-thinking companies are starting to think like old school publishers, gathering ideas, developing stories, and publishing a steady stream of content. That's what small businesses need to do. So use platforms like ours to have, to outsource ideas to writers as part of your order. We have this cool thing that's like a, pitch ideas. You want writers to pitch you ideas. So you place a $30 blog post, and writers, a writer or a group of writers you send it to will pitch you ideas, and you choose one of the ideas and execute it with a writer that pitched it to you. So that, to me, is content strategy. It's not a bunch of grinding keyword research that some small businesses are just not ready for. I'm not saying that it's not good to do that. It's amazing to have the resources to develop a full-blown content strategy, build out your keyword silos, scatter those keywords in the content you're trying to create. I'm all for it. That's what our platform is built to do. But the SMB needs to start producing content, and they need to trust writers, I believe, to come up with great topics that would resonate well for their audience. So that's my very long-winded answer to your question, Michael. Thank you.
No, that was great. And I think because if you read even the basic SEO guides, they all say that, if you have a blog and you're posting like every week, each post should have its own image. And I think I saw you guys have access to Getty Images, is it?
We do, yeah. So we struck a great partnership with Getty Images that allows our customers to access the entire library of Getty Images in our platform and grab the assets that they want to use and buy them quickly and store them, and more importantly, place them with the assets that they want, and say they're going to run this image on their blog post. They can push not only the content, but the image itself directly over to WordPress. So we're facilitating that movement of the assets along with the images over to WordPress all through the platform.
And well, I mean, I could also mention probably that content, even written content, isn't really restricted to just blog posts. Now, if you're a small business, for example, and you're in the process of designing your website and you want your static web pages to have excuse me, good quality content that describes what you want it to say, how you want it to say it, is that something also that your writers can do?
Yes, it's, I love the expression, you get what you pay for in this world, right? And I think that, one of the challenges that customers have these days is articulating exactly what they want. And some customers, for example, have not used platforms like ours, or some customers haven't even really worked with freelance writers before. So we've tried to make that really smart and really simple by developing order forms that ask really good questions of our customers. Do you want to convey to your writer the tone and the style you want, or who your target audience is, or other variables? In our platform, you can go as deep as you want, to explain and to express to a writer exactly what you want. And it's up to the writer to fulfill that obligation. And by the way, if the writer does not fulfill that obligation, you can request a revision. And if they then still don't meet your objectives, you don't pay for the assets. So, and by the way, we have a greater than a 99% success rate for customers approving content on our platform, which is truly remarkable. Particularly when I first started the company, I never thought it would be 99%. I was building in a, hey, let's abuse this platform. I know we'll just go in and reject a bunch of content, but we'll actually keep that order and we won't tell WriterAccess, right? That doesn't happen. People want this content. People using our platform want the content. They're going to use the content. They're going to try to onboard the writer to the specifications they're looking for. And that in itself is a whole interesting discussion with how do you onboard, talent. But to follow up on your question, not only do we have this cool, order form stuff, we also have just launching with our new 4.0 that's launching soon is this voice messaging service. So you click a little checkbox on your order form where you're writing a description, and boom, a phone number pops up right on the order form, free of charge, and you can call a number with that order and place the order with a voice instructions from you that express what you're looking for. And it was funny, I was on a radio show interview talking with a life coach, and they were saying how important voice was with understanding what one of their clients' problems and needs are. And I think that's really true with content. You hear the tone of voice from someone like you that's trying to have content created, and your stern, firm voice explaining exactly what you want in your own words is probably going to really help a writer hit a silver bullet with the content they deliver to you.
And to a site owner that is more or less on top of what's available now, and they have Google authorship set up and stuff on their blog, yep. I just wanted to make sure that the content produced by the WriterAccess writers is actually the property of the site owner, and they can put it under their own Google authorship, and yes. There's no copyright conflicts or anything.
That is absolutely correct. We're a ghostwriting service. You can create the content. Anything you buy from us, you have to buy it, mind you, to own it. But once you buy it, at the end of seeing it and making sure it meets your standards, you hit the buy button and you own it. It's your copyright. But on that subject of attribution, it's kind of interesting, and I'm super excited if Google is listening into this, because I have some interesting thoughts on attribution. So it is my humble opinion as a small player in this massive sea of content creation out there, that someday over the rainbow, it will become less important to Google with their SERP listing positions, with how many links a website has, and it will become more relevant and more important with who wrote the content on that website, right? I feel like authorship is a big deal. So at WriterAccess, we have a 6-star opportunity where customers can buy truly high-end content for like 10 cents to $2 per word. And for that high-end content, you can ask the author for if you will, permission to use their name on the content that you buy from them. And in so doing, you will request, for example, on Google Plus, that you will be able to, that author will therefore agree to those terms, and look closely at the value of them writing on your post, and be compensated at an agreement that both parties agree to, depending upon the visibility and the complexity of the assignment, and lots of other variables that need to come into play. But once that agreement, if you will, is sealed, then the author will go into their Google Plus account and post that they've published on the customer's website. So yes, we are a ghostwriting company, and that will probably continue to be 95% of the content we're creating. As it is, by the way, I would argue with professional book writers that hire ghostwriters to help them create books all the time. I mean, writing is an art and a science, and some people are better at it than others. So writing will continue to be the core, and ghostwriting, I'm guessing, will be. But we're super excited to launch a more public version of attribution, because our clients have been doing that with us. Some of our clients have been doing it with us for quite some time. So sorry about the long-winded answer, but I thought you'd find that interesting.
No, it was, and I think that's a part of what Google authorship is all about now. And I know a lot of people are sort of scared about the guest post thing now, but if you do it the right way, which you described, then it's actually a benefit and not a penalty. How about content for social networks?
So it's funny because there is a fine line between shall we say, impersonating a well-written piece of content that talks about a base of knowledge, and impersonating someone's personality. So we don't have a lot of clients requesting that type of work from us. And one thing for sure, we do not, under any circumstances, for a lot of legal reasons, have our writers go into a customer's Facebook account, say, or Twitter account, and make posts. That is a violation of lots of our own ethical codes. Customers need to log into their own accounts, not us, and choose what to publish and make that decision on their own. But what a lot of our customers are doing, I think, rather intelligently, is they are having, say, a white paper written, or a longer form article written for their blog, a ghost written article. And when they place that order, they're asking the writer to add some tweets that would promote that article. And so what you do is you set up some custom fields, so you're adding to the word count of the order for the writer to complete. But the writer actually quite enjoys that, because they know the work they've created, and they're creating some nice hooks to broadcast that out to the social sphere, linking back to the article itself. So it's almost like an ad being created, if you will. Go check out this new article on blah 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 blah, as an add-on to a longer form piece of content they're creating.
Well, that brings up the topic of distribution, and I didn't really research that in terms of what WriterAccess does, but it's obviously an important part of content marketing. Do you do anything with distribution, or just have any thoughts on how to distribute content once it's on your site?
That's the big pain point. Probably, when you look at Content Marketing Institute's surveys of pain points of content marketing, distribution is a big one. You've got great companies like Outbrain. I mean, there's a lot of companies that try to help and manage distribution. We are more laser focused on the creation side of it, but as I mentioned, we do have some API integrations in with lots of distribution channels. For example, we have, I believe, one of the few and only API integrations in with Yahoo stores, where if you're a Yahoo store owner and you've just been knocked out by Google, let's say, for duplicate content issues, on every one of your product descriptions, 2,000 product descriptions are completely duplicate. You probably got wiped out in Penguin and Panda, and not so much their latest. But if you made it through the rush, maybe you're just getting penalized now. But through the API we have, you can instantly suck in all of your product descriptions in Yahoo stores, tag the ones or all of them that you want to have rewritten, send them out to writers that you've pre-screened and tested that are part of a short list that is capable of rewriting your assets, or send it out to the crowd and get even a 10% discount and rewrite all the content. So, and then once it's rewritten, click another button and they all push back right into your Yahoo Store platform, replacing what was there. So our distribution is more aligned with where you have your own passwords to get in, and that's how you set up the integrations, by setting up those passwords. So we don't really use any other distribution platforms. This article portal distribution stuff, we've had some of those players come to us, and that kind of feels a little bit more like really SEO, pushing content out for the sake of content being pushed out for link popularity. But I think Google's kind of cracked down on most of those. That gaming that was going on for kind of falsifying link popularity on websites that were kind of worthless. So I think at the end of the day, distribution will continue to be a pain point for everyone, but that's probably a healthy, good thing, because you want a magazine, you want an authority website to pick up an article you wrote. You don't want to spam out, articles for link building purposes. I just think that's going to go away pretty soon. But it is necessary. I get it. It's we're damned if we do and damned if we don't in this industry. It's a fine road that we all play on.
That brings up
lots of points.
Yeah. Well, the one I was thinking of was just the difference between writing for, I'll say, a blog post, for example, and the style you would use to write in a product description or on a landing page, where you would want more of a marketing sort of language. Yep. Can your writers write to the different types of needs like that?
Yes. So what we did is we introduced a certification program for basically 4 different general types of writers. We have general writers, which I'll talk about in a second, copywriters, journalists, tech writers, and we're just adding legal writers to that in the next couple of weeks as well. So those are kind of the 4 different forks in the road, if you will, where you want to make a selection of that type of writer. And in our world at WriterAccess, you can kind of go in and see those certifications and feel good about hiring a writer that has the expertise you're looking for. And the way we certify writers is kind of interesting. When any writer comes to WriterAccess, we have a way for them to take a general writing test. It's about 40 multiple choice questions, and it gives us a feel for their proficiency. It's a pretty hard test. Only 1 or 2 people in the history of the company have gotten all 40 questions right, and that's probably because some of the questions are kind of controversial with whether the answer is right or not, and we've even had people debate us on thinking that they aced the test. But it's a really cool test. So everyone takes this general test, and that helps us set what we call an initial star rating for a writer, ranging from 2-star to 6-star. And after that, the algorithm and customer reviews really go to work. You need to perform in the platform to raise your star ranking. Once you start performing some assignments that are copywriting assignments or tech writing assignments or other things that our customers have to tell us what they're having written by these general writers, then we start keeping track of how many assets you've created in each of the types of the big 5 that I mentioned. Once you've completed enough to make us feel comfortable, you can apply for certification in those 4 other areas that I mentioned to you. So, we then look primarily not necessarily at even the work that is on your samples or what you say you are. We look at the quality of the work that was actually delivered to the customers to make a manual decision, a hand-reviewed decision on not only do you get the certification, but where are we going to place you in the search results, based upon some scoring we have on the work that you've completed to date. So to answer your question, it's yes, we've got some funnel approach to having the cream rise to the top, and particularly with these super high-end writers that I'm mentioning to you, the 6-star level, even 5-star, that requires some pretty good diligence to make sure that you're going to get what you pay for, and we're not going to waste your time or even the writer's time in trying to perform work that's above their head or isn't a good match for their skill set.
Well, speaking of writers, are you still hiring writers?
We
And
are.
is there like a place to go on the site to do that if you're interested in becoming a writer?
Definitely. Just writer access writers. We are constantly onboarding new writers. We're doing a much deeper job these days of promoting writers once they come into our platform. We have a very large database that we've really vetted out and put into buckets of skill sets that we think that they would be interested in. So we not only bring in new writers, we market new writers to our base of customers. And of course, the fate of them being hired is up in the hands of our customers, but we grew 190% last year, so we're also looking at some very large big deals, perpetually from customers that are starting to realize that Writer Access can scale big and grow big. For those large orders that are sometimes in the hundreds of thousands, often of dollars, that are out there that customers need quality writing for.
Well, just how about existing content and rewriting? For example, I got a brochure from a customer of mine this week. They're launching a new industrial product, and they're getting a patent and stuff. And they had a brochure already made up, and it kind of looked like the page out of a textbook. It wasn't interesting at all. And he said, "Can you do something with this and fix it up?" So I was like, "Sure." So I reworded it and put more salesy language in and some call to action points and stuff like that. And I had a designer reposition images and stuff like that. Is that something you guys can do, or?
It's funny, Michael. You did it exactly the right way. You are a content strategist, basically, right? So you know what works, you know what doesn't work. We would, if you needed some heavy lifting to execute on the vision you had, we're like ideal for you. Like I need a really amazing writer that can add what I call snap, crackle, and pop. And I don't have time for this, Byron. And frankly, maybe I don't have the expertise. So we have amazing copywriters that can take something that's existed and make it amazing. And those are, you enter an order that is going to be commensurate of what it would be worth to you and that customer to get that rewritten and get that sizzling, if you will. So it's probably not going to be an 8 cents per word because it's, that would be way too low. You want a really good writer that's like $75 or $100 an hour to put their spin on it, and to make it amazing and make it great and give it a better position to deliver the ROI that customer is demanding, both for hiring you and for pushing out this brochure to their customers. So yes, we can do that.
Okay, and if anybody has any questions, you can type them in there should be a question box here that you can type in, or the watch page, you can type into the comment section there. Or after the broadcast, if you come up with a question or you watch the recorded version, you can do the hashtag #AskAnExpert query in either of the communities, and I'll make sure that your questions get answered. But back to Byron. Okay, say I am a small business with a limited budget, and I've decided I want to have a really good blog post once a week, every week. So how much could that cost me a month if I said, okay, 300 words, that's enough, and I want my one image, and I don't want to go overboard because I don't really have the money. So just like the most basic level, how much would that cost, do you think?
All right, I'm getting out my calculator because I need to think with a calculator here. But there is a pricing calculator on our website that you can take a look at and slide in your variables. Do I want, say, a 5-star, 8 cents per word times 300 words? Okay, $24. So, you can get really great content created in our platform for ridiculously low prices. And the question is, do you need a 6-star, which could completely change everything? With 10 cents per word, is $30. Maybe it's 30 cents per word because you need not only a blog post, but you need to convince your customers in your blog post to upgrade to your new platform. So you want to write a blog post that's a little bit more sales driven and could actually have an ROI. Or, really everyone out there, I believe, is capable of being a strategist. And just what that really means is just being smart with what are the needs, what level of proficiency you do need in a writer, how good does this need to be, how much visibility is this asset going to get, what's its play? Is it more of like, I need to keep a steady stream of content going, so let me choose some, forget about one a week. I mean, that's another interesting question in itself, Michael, and I'd like to ask you this, how much content do you think a customer needs these days to move the needle and to grow their traffic and to engage their customers? What's your answer on that?
Well, I think it varies. It's kind of the way you approach the question. If you start out by saying, what do I need to do to inform my customers, to instruct my customers, or entertain my customers? If you're more, I do a lot with bands and things, so entertainment is always part of it for me, and go from that perspective and say, well, how often should I do this? And then usually in general terms, I would say once a week would get you in the door. But I mean, you can also go too much if you see that a lot of what you're posting. I mean, Google Plus is sometimes some people think more is better, and they post 20 times a day, and I just usually uncircle those people because it's hard to do that much and be interesting. So, you have to find the level where your customers are going to keep responding and stay engaged. And so the minimum I'd say would be once a week.
Yeah. I think your first words were spot on. Depends, right? I mean, some of the variables there are, what's the purpose of the content you're trying to publish, right? Is it to increase traffic, improve listing positions, increase the time on site? So many variables to what goals are for content that's really what you need to look at. So if you said to me, hey, Byron, I've got a customer that really is frustrated that they're not in the top 10 for, Boston iced tea. They have an iced tea company, right? They think they have the best iced tea in the world. I would say, okay, let's go look at how competitive the phrase Boston iced tea is. Let's go look at the competitors that are in the top 10. Let's go look at their publishing frequency and see how much they're publishing. Let's go look at the quality of the content that they're publishing, and let's see what we're up against, right? So there isn't a defined answer. That's my point, right? Lots of variables out here. But I think what you will find in the end of the day is this. Unless you're publishing consistently, okay, probably at least one post a day when it comes to blogging. I don't think your customers are going to, and unless that content is great and offering information that people want and need, let me footnote that as well. I don't think either your readers and fans and customers and prospects or the spider bots are going to have rationale to move you up in the search listing positions and to see results in terms of ROI measurement for the. So now, having said that, if your customers are used to seeing you and you've never written before, like, that's a quantum leap. Yeah, let's go. A blog post a week, right? At least you're relevant. At least you're in the conversation of being viable, and at least you're caring about your customer wants and needs. Right? So thank you for caring about my needs. Thank you for writing a blog post about how to clean my pool. I appreciate that. I know you sell pools, I get that. But I have a problem. I need to clean my pool fast. How do I clean my pool fast? Right? So, by the way, there's a great story about a guy that sells pools that use social media, solving informational content whose business exploded, and great stories. So, people have problems and they want answers. That's my point. That's what content marketing is all about. The more problems you can solve for them, the better. But that's what content marketing is all about, and that's why we're in business right now. And I think that's where the whole content, the whole community of search marketing needs to switch over to understanding that. To me, optimization is the new SEO, right? It's
Yep.
not search engine optimization. It's optimization of your customer base. It's optimization of your pages with A/B testing. It's optimization of your understanding your wants and needs of your customers and delivering it to them. Like, let's optimize that funnel. So let's not have discussions on SEO is dead. It's like, no, SEO is maturing into a much bigger industry, which is why we see a lot of SEO firms migrating into becoming digital marketing agencies. They're amazing at the search part. You combine that with like armies of writers at WriterAccess and other models with access to freelance designers. All of a sudden, these really smart people in a room that have amazing customers and delivered performance for their customers in traditional ways that maybe are not working, they need to adapt a little bit and start getting more into optimization. So I think it's exciting where this industries are going. And we've all made migrations in the last 10 years that have been in this industry, and it's exciting because we become experts in one thing and we adapt it to another, and before you know it, we're all chameleons. We all know a little bit about everything, and that was a decision we made about content marketing and content strategy. We think there's a better way to scale that. Let's not get content out to 100 customers. Let's get it out to thousands of customers. We now have like 8,500 customers, using our platform that have paid to use our platform, not just freebies that have signed up. Real customers with real needs using our platform. So anyway, sorry that was a super long-winded answer, but
No, that was great.
good topic.
We have a question from the audience from David Kyle, who asks, how do you verify or qualify technical expertise? For example, if I'm looking for a legal writer that is knowledgeable about specifics of North Carolina workers' compensation law, how would they prove to you that they know this?
Casting call in 2 words. Okay, so what we are able to do in our platform is to quickly guide you to writers that have particular expertise according to our certification. What you would want to do is to pull a pool of the, have us maybe help you find those writers, put them on a short love list, and then send out a first order as a test to the pool with what we call casting call turned on. When casting call's turned on, the writer cannot really pick up that job. They can only apply for it. And when they apply for it, they're going to tell you whether they have the specific knowledge you're looking for in that niche. Now, a couple secrets about casting call. Casting call is kind of scary. It reminds me a little bit of 99 Designs, okay? With 99 Designs, an interesting model that I'm working on trying to disrupt, by the way, with WriterAccess. But anyway, more on that later. With 99 Designs, customer, like, I need a logo. And wow, guess what? 200 people do the work for that logo. And only one gets the $200 prize for the winner, okay? The customer has to look through all those logos, which is a waste of time. It's not a very efficient system. It's taking advantage of the supply side of the business. And, the customer likes it because they're seeing things. And with design, there are a lot of customers that just need to see it before they like it. Like, that's why that's successful. But crowdsourcing is also wasting a lot of time and energy. So back to casting calls and the question here. So I get it. The person asking the question has a very specific need. And so I would try casting calls in our platform. If that wasn't successful, I would probably think about, really doing it a different way, and that is to try to onboard writers with a budget that makes sense for them. A lot of our writers will not respond to a casting call because it's one order for like $24 or $30, or maybe it's a 5-star order. Maybe it's a 6-star order. That would be a great way to test. Throw a casting call out for like $100 for a 500-word article, but you need the expertise. You need the knowledgeable person. That's going to stand out from the crowd. Okay. Another way to stand out from the crowd to find that writer, we have a way to sign up for WriterAccess with what we call Plus service. We also are launching enterprise level service. And remember that the writers in our network, okay, they want steady gigs, right? They want to pay their rent. They want to pay their lease. They've got food to put on the table. They're trying to make a living as a professional writer. And when we begin to respect that, it is imperative that we build a system around that model. So the person calling up wants particular expertise. I'm not sure how much content they want, but that's relevant and that's important. Because finding one writer to do this for a one-up blog post is much more difficult than finding a writer to produce 10 blog posts, or is there more work, right? So the way we do that at WriterAccess is kind of interesting. We have something called Plus Service, where a customer can come in, pay $2,500 upfront cash deposit, get a special seal, right, that is on their website that says, hey, I'm a Plus Service customer. I've deposited $2,500. I'm not here for one order. I'm here to find writers that can make my business better. That is a seal that is being well received by our writing community and perks them up and entices them to respond to the one-up casting call order. And furthermore, when you're writing the casting call, you can explain that, like, hey, I'm a Plus Service customer. I'm in for $2,500 here. Please help me out. I'm looking for a great team of writers or a right writer to help me. So what's interesting about that is, guess what? The cost of that $2,500, that's $2,500 applied to writing, right? There's no fee. It's not $2,500 a month. It's just saying, I am going to try WriterAccess out, and I think I'm going to spend $2,500. Matter of fact, I've already spent it. I've deposited. But if for any reason you can't find a writer, or you're unhappy with any work a writer does, you don't pay for it. And if you're not happy with the whole platform, you can request an instant and immediate refund. That's what this marketplace has come to, because it's very difficult to distinguish between a customer kicking the tires and just wanting to use the platform to beat people up, versus the customer that I think just asked a question, which was, I need a writer with very specific expertise, and I'm willing to pay for it, because I respect the difficulty of finding this person. So that's my answer. It's a long-winded answer. Sorry about that, but hopefully that gives you insight into these marketplaces and how these platforms are working.
Well, here's something I could mention too. Somewhere along the line between when I found the company online and I signed up to test everything out, I got a couple of nifty perks in the mail, which were 2 books. One called The Content Marketing Roadmap, and the other one is called Professional Writing Skill and Price Guide, both by you. And I was just wondering if that's something that just comes as a perk to everybody that signs up, or if there's a special place they need to go to get that, or how that might work.
As you can see, my hair is kind of balding. And I'm an old school guy that believes in doing right for the customers that trust you for opportunity. So every single customer that signs up, $50 customer, $25, every customer that signs up gets a mailed copy of my book, unless they're out of the U.S. and I can't help them there. But we just think that that's a nice touch. We think it helps distinguish us. And I love educating people and talking with people, as you can gather from this presentation today and this opportunity. So we need to learn together what works and what doesn't work. I wrote those books. They're 2 very different books. And that's kind of interesting in itself. One is a book a little bit more focused on, the roadmap, tips and advice on how to navigate this challenging water of content marketing. The other is a book I really wrote to get customers on the same page with writers with the value of content. Like, what can I expect when I pay more? That's basically the question I'm trying to answer. So I walk people through what you can expect at a 2-star rate, 3-star, 4-star, 5-star, and soon to be 6-star, and show actual examples, and then create commentary on those examples, right? That help you dive into this difficult, challenging water of, what do I expect when I pay more, and surface with some answers. So 2 different books. But hopefully they're quick reads and you can flip them open and learn something. So those are the kind of books that I like to read. Quick flip, quick education, get in, get out.
Alrighty, very cool. And I'll also mention again that there is a $25 coupon for WriterAccess linked down below in the description there, which was created for this broadcast, by the way. So if you use it, they'll know where it came from. And we have another question from Spencer Wade. who asks, if you find a ghostwriter that is perfect for your business content, after working for a period of time, do they become dedicated account managers, or is it on a first come? Oh, I see. Can you work with the same author if they work for you and their content is great and it's just what you like? Can you keep them on a steady basis?
Absolutely. That's what all of our writers want. That's what we want. That's what you want. That is the goal, and that is our mission. Um, what customers have to understand about that, though, is very often writers will burn out. How often can I talk about, mortgages all day, every day, right? So if we're smart, we'll understand that and understand that writers can bring creativity to the table by servicing multiple customers and or staying with customers for 3 to 6 month time period until the work begins to look a little bit flat and not quite as energized as when they first came to the table. So make a switch. And honestly, I think that's healthy both for customers and writers to switch it up, depending upon the intensity of the assignment, right? So for something like white paper assignments, tech papers, that's perhaps a different story. Another thing we have at WriterAccess is a conference call ability where you can pay 50 cents a minute to talk with a writer on top of a project that they accepted and approved that has a budget that is within their reach, with also noting that you've requested a conference call in addition to doing the actual work. So they know up front that everything going on. If you get a great white paper, tech writer working for you, that is perhaps the long-term relationship. They might be, as part of their responsibility, interviewing other people at your company to dive in with a product manager, let's say, on a topic. So they begin to get to know the nuances of a company, and that's a little bit more intense and something that would give you a good, compelling reason to hang on to the same writer to simply execute these much faster and easier than someone brand new coming in. But on this subject, what's fascinating about this is, imagine we are digitally recording those conference calls and the voicemail instructions. So onboarding new writers is actually pretty easy. You can pull up those old conference calls and or voicemail messages that you attach to the orders that you're placing, even with a new writer, so the new writer can get quickly on board and make this process work.
Well, here's a question that I just thought of, and I have no idea what the answer is going to be. But how about other languages? Like there's a huge Hispanic market in the U.S. and in Quebec, for example, there's it's a big French market. Is there any kind of provision for content being written in other languages?
Now, when the Google Venture Capital division hears this interview and sees how exciting our company is, the answer is yes. I mean, we would love to expand into the translation business, and that is actually kind of an interesting little boutique-y business, just so you know. There are translators all over the world that are rated and endorsed and used by all these translation companies that are basically using them as freelancers, much like we use freelancers. So, we are definitely interested and excited about that marketplace, and so stay tuned is all I can say.
Alrighty. Well, we are coming up against an hour here. Is there anything you would like to add in closing?
Excited to have people try out the platform, and most importantly, super excited, for your efforts and what you're doing. I think this has been really fun and exciting and a great opportunity. So thanks very much for having me as a guest.
Okay. Thanks for watching today, and remember there is that $25 coupon down there for WriterAccess, as well as links to WriterAccess. And I hope I've managed to show you today that content is more than just writing a blog post, at least doing it in the form of a content strategy that yields the most benefit that you can have on the web for doing it. So thank you for those that watched and for those guys that asked questions, and I will see you next time. Thanks.